Anne is definitely on my list of characters who are like my spirit animal. Hi, I am Catherine Haws, and I will be doing a critique of page 1 of Anne of Green Gables. When I do critiques for students or for peers, I always look at the first 500 words, which kind of equates to page 1. There are certain questions that I always ask. Do fans want a t-shirt with the first sentence of this book? Where is this story happening? What type of genre is it? Who should I care about? Do I have any desire to read page 2? And lastly, what questions are raised and what questions are answered in the first page? So, let's dive right in, shall we? Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, Chapter 1, Page 1. Mrs. Rachel Lynde is surprised. Mrs. Rachel Lynde lived just where the Avonlea main road dipped down into a little hollow, fringed with adlers and ladies' eardrops and traversed by a brook that had its source away back in the woods of the old Cuthbert place. It was reputed to be an intricate, headlong brook in its earlier course through those woods, with dark secrets of pool and cascade, but by the time it reached Lynde's Hollow, it was a quiet, well-conducted little stream, for not even a brook could run past Mrs. Rachel Lynde's door without due regard for decency and decorum. It probably was conscious that Mrs. Rachel was sitting at her window, keeping a sharp eye on everything that passed, from brooks and children up, and that if she noticed anything odd or out of place, she would never rest until she had ferreted out the whys and whereoffs thereof. There are plenty of people in Avonlea and out of it who can attend closely to their neighbors' business by dint of neglecting their own, but Mrs. Rachel Lynde was one of those capable creatures who can manage their own concerns and those of other folks into the bargain. She was a notable housewife. Her work was always done and well done. She ran the sewing circle, helped run the Sunday school, and was the strongest prop of the Church Aid Society and Foreign Missions Auxiliary. Yet with all this, Mrs. Rachel found abundant time to sit for hours at her... Thus concludes page 1. So first off, I just want to let you know the first sentence of this book is a paragraph. It keeps going and going and going. And I think it's actually pretty great. Would a fan want this on a t-shirt? Heck no. But I think that's okay because it shows us how this story feels. Like, even though Anne isn't here yet, we have the vibe of how this story is going to be told. That whole first sentence is just like, but then it's flowery. It's just really nice. So, I'm going to pull up the page so you can see it. First off, we have Mrs. Rachel Lynde, who lived in Avonlea. So, in our very first line, we are given information about who is in the story and where this story is. A first-time reader might not know where Avonlea is, but based on alders and ladies' eardrops, those sound like flowers. You could research that and then place where Avonlea is, and this shows us that this is on Earth. And then the old Cuthbert place. We don't know it yet, but the old Cuthbert place is Green Gables. So yeah, another thing, when you read a title, Anne of Green Gables, first you want to know who the heck is Anne and what the heck is a gable and why is it green? We don't have that explained to us in our very first page, but that's okay. Those are questions that we are asking and they will be answered later. The questions that we have for the first page, what kind of genre is this? Basically, I want to know, should I expect dragons in here or not? In this place called Avonlea with Mrs. Rachel Lynde, who is very snooty and wants to check up on everybody and is even wanting brooks to be nice and orderly, I'm thinking I'm not gonna have any dragons, but this is only page 1. We learn a lot about Rachel Lynde. We don't know yet if she is our main character, but from the title we're thinking that Anne is going to be our main character. Her relationship with Rachel Lynde is very important, so we are having Rachel Lynde's character established. We learn a lot. We know that she lives near the Cuthbert place, which comes into play because she's a neighbor. We're guessing that she has lived here a long time. She likes to be in charge of a lot of things. She likes to be nosy into other people's business. She lives in the country and those of other folks into the bargain. That sentence tells us a lot about who Rachel Lynde is. You can learn a lot in a first page. That's what I'm trying to convey to you. And I don't know if I like her yet, but I'm curious to see what she does and how she behaves and what is she going to do with Anne. So, do fans want First Sentence on a t-shirt? No, but that's okay. Where is this story happening? It is happening in Avonlea, near Lynde Hollow and the old Cuthbert place. What type of genre is this? It feels like historical fiction taking place on Earth. Don't necessarily know the time period from this. We don't know if there are cars or carriages. I'm thinking that, based on the language that it's taking place in the past and it's not present day. Those are observations from the first page. Who should I care about? Rachel Lynde and the Cuthberts. Do I have a desire to read page 2? Yes. The title of this chapter is Mrs. Rachel Lynde is Surprised. So the question is raised, what is the surprise? I do want to know what happens next. I am curious enough to see where the story leads. This first page gives you a taste of what it's like. This isn't Lord of the Rings, which we may get to some other time. And if you've watched Anne with an E or the original Anne of Green Gables, then I think you would see how this is the spirit of the book. All in all, I enjoyed page 1 of Anne of Green Gables. I read the whole book several years ago. Almost 10 years ago now that I think about it, oh my. Grew up watching the old VHSs, just loved Anne. Do yourself a favor, read the book yourself. It is a classic. Thank you for joining me for this page 1 critique of Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. Ciao for now. Boom, boom, boom. I just jogged this whole thing when I just clicked record. I always look at the first 500 words. Words. First 500 words. I would pretend to be Anne. And I did always wonder, would my hair turn green if I tried one of those, home boxes to dye my hair? But I never tried it, so who knows? And I don't really plan on ever coloring my hair. So the world may never know. So I'm just gonna open to a random spot. I'm sure I don't know why you should lose your temper like that just because Mrs. Lynde said you were red-haired and homely. You say that about yourself often. Oh, but there's such a difference between saying a thing yourself and hearing other people say it. But we're not doing a dramatic reading of Anne of Green Gables. Instead, we are reading page 1. I should think she would better punish Diana for being so greedy as to drink these glassfuls of anything, said Marilla shortly. Wow, that was the wrong voice. Hills peeped o'er hill and Alps on Alps arose. That's what it says right there.